Good evening. Thank you for joining us for Every Day's the Weekend News. I'm Peter Paul Kidd with Siri on sports and meteorologist Ted DeBear with weather. In our top story tonight, scientists have discovered gases on the planet Venus believed to only exist in the presence of life. With the possibility of Venusian life, and in response to several UFO videos recently declassified by the Pentagon, President Trump this week has announced that he is going to be building a barrier in orbit, a space wall, to protect America from unwanted Venusian or other alien drug dealers, rapists, and criminals. He tweeted, "They aren't the best people coming here. They are bad people. Have you seen Close Encounters? Those flying saucers are clearly breaking the speed limit." The wall is planned to be approximately 3,300 miles long and 16 feet high, positioned over the center of the United States with yellow and black caution tape-like stripes and the words "Keep Out" written on it. Senator Marco Rubio of Florida is firmly behind the president's plan, encouraging even greater action, suggesting exhaustive in-home searches to find any illegal aliens living in the United States. He was quoted as saying, "We must protect our American jobs and our American anuses." Critics claim that the wall is pointless and could be very easily circumvented. But the president stands by his wall, claiming it'll be impossible to climb because everyone knows rope doesn't work in space. In an attempt to gain ground with the minority vote, President Trump has decided his administration needs to be seen interacting more with persons in those communities. Since the Supreme Court declared that corporations are persons, the president and his daughter chose to take these photos with these prominent persons of the Latinx community. Additional photos are planned with the recently maligned Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, whom the president calls true representation of the black community and the right kind of those people. In a related story, the president did have to postpone a recent photo op at the Washington, D.C. Asian League so it could be properly gassed and civilized. When we come back, a special hurricane report from Teddy and what the coronavirus and the plague have in common.
I know you've been here a long time, Barry, but I feel Penny is a better fit, so I'm giving her the creative director position.
It's not that bad. At least you don't have to work for her directly.
I want you to work with her. Help her get used to the new responsibilities. Maybe take a few orders from her so she gets comfortable telling people what to do. I'm still on the line. You only minimize the window.
She hates you too. She thinks you're too egotistical,
Too zelfserving, too insensitieve en
too
too...
loud.
Oh yeah? Well, she's too pretty.
Oh,
No,
get out of my game.
you're on my server. You get out. Go get him.
I got him.
So how exactly does that happen? You just bond over a video game and then poof, all of a sudden you're friends? You know, if you were back at home, you'd be having her for dinner, not having her over for dinner. Fine. Enjoy your privacy. How does that even work, by the way? I'm going. Hey, Bird. You should have stayed with your own kind. Look, buddy, I know it's sad and it hurts, but you gotta get up. You can't just lay around all day, every day. Ah! Ow! Teddy, do me a favor. Tell your girlfriend that she can haunt me anytime she likes. Just please, not when I'm on the toilet. Really, it's just as much for her as it is for me. But it was bad enough before when you were a bear and a penguin. Now you're alive and she's the opposite of that. I know you love her, man, but she is pushing it. So rude.
It's your fault. It says ghosts only haunt those who wronged them in life. If you'd been more supportive of us. You did this? All she wants is to go back home, and wherever she goes, I go.
Welcome back. Last month, a man in London attempted to steal the Magna Carta, a British document written in 1215 under King John, which was a major inspiration for framers of the American Constitution. The man expected to find a treasure map on the back leading to an ancient hoard of valuables. What he found in truth was 4 years in jail. But he was not mistaken that the document does have something on the back. For the first time in modern history, the press was permitted to view the back side of the document, and there is another document on the reverse side. The reverse side is a political illustration condemning doctors as liars and the plague as a hoax. That sounds familiar. However, we have made significant strides in 800 years. We no longer think the world is flat or think that drinking poisonous liquids will cure diseases. Damn it. Over to you, Teddy.
Thank you. With all the names on the alphabetical list of hurricane names used up this year, it is time to begin the search for next year's names. In recent years, the National Hurricane Center has been trying to diversify their choices of names. This year brought us Cristobal and Isaias. Isaias was so popular that it trended on every social media outlet for multiple days. More because it was being ridiculed because of its unpronounceability than for its popularity, but the National Weather Service thinks all publicity is good publicity and instructed the National Hurricane Center to find more names that would trend, so that they could increase the public profile of the two government programs. With that in mind, the Hurricane Center has chosen all names that are very hard to pronounce for next year's storms. Among them are Anais, Bodhi, Mireille, Saoirse, Xerxes, and Yael. Next year should be very fun to watch newscasters and weather persons attempt to read the teleprompter. Now let's move on to our current weather. This has been an exceptionally busy hurricane season. So far, we have had 23 named storms, which makes it the second most active season on record, with 2 months still remaining. We are now into the Greek alphabet naming system, which everyone knows starts with alpha, beta, gamma, delta, nu, ending with omega. Right now, there are 3 storms in the Atlantic and Gulf, which is something to be wary of, but manageable. One of them is my namesake, Go Get 'em Teddy. So long as we don't have more than 3, it should be fine and workable. Okay, 4. we can handle 4. 6. Well, that's a bit more concerning. Aw, come on. What the fuck?
We'll get back to Teddy in a bit. A Tennessee woman was recently in the news for receiving a driver's license photo that was of a chair. Tennessee officials responded to the error with a number of explanations, such as accidentally capturing the chair during her photo session and the computer simply selecting the incorrect photo. However, it was discovered that the chair in the photo does not match any chair within any DMV in the state. The mystery was deepened by the fact that the blank shots alluded to were not found anywhere in the archive associated with the woman's name or driver's license number. As it turns out, the woman's last name is Chipendi. On the Tennessee Registrar of Drivers, she directly follows a gentleman named Chairface Chippendale. Both were born in 1995, and he does, in fact, have a chair for a head. It seems that when the two applied for their renewals by mail prior to their birthdays, a clerical error resulted in his driver's license receiving her head shot, while hers received his. When asked about this occurrence, Mr. Chippendale responded,
Now I ask you, is that a birthday present or what?
After the break, the United States Space Force has a new recruit, and Siri with sports.
Hello, I am Russian scientist. You see, I have lab coat, I have thick glasses. This means I have big brain, very smart. You trust. You may not know that we here in Russia, we are leaders in development of pharmaceuticals for the world. We invent aspirin, we invent penicillin, we invent Viagra. Now we have new discovery, Russian vaccine. I say in American, Russian vaccine for coronavirus. We call Sputnik 5. It's very good. We create here in Russia all by ourselves, no steal China. In our laboratories with our scientists, no steal Pfizer. We make in our top laboratory where we also make our best vodka. Vasha Zadorovia. Russian vaccine is very good. It works very well. No, we no test, but we know it's safe because our leader, Vladimir Putin, give vaccine to his second favorite daughter.
Why didn't he give it to both his daughters?
That's not important. What important is over here. You see, these are all citizens who have had Russian vaccine. You see how much energy they have? No social distancing. Very happy people. We make whole stockpile of Russian vaccine only for America because we want to help make America great again.
Russian vaccine may cause lack of appetite, excessive hunger, constipation, diarrhea, insomnia, narcolepsy, sniffing, sneezing, aching, stuffy head, fever, heart, stars and horseshoes, clovers and blue moons. Ask your doctor if Russian vaccine is right for you.
No ask doctor. I tell you, Russian vaccine is right for you. You take.
Sputnik 5. You take.
And we're back. The Space Force is the newest branch of the military and the first to be created since the Air Force in 1947. Turns out they have recently established a mounted division for some reason. And in keeping with that, their newest recruit is a 5-year-old Mustang named Ghost. That's right. His name is Space Ghost. And he's hoping to go coast to coast. When asked why they had the horses, Major Donald West informed us he didn't know. He claims that the White House began purchasing horses last year. Now, with nearly 100 horses at Vandenberg Air Force Base, they are beginning to have difficulty housing them all. The situation seems to be able to be tracked back to Fox News in a story regarding SpaceX. Elon Musk was talking about the U.S. Space Force needing to use SpaceX rockets, and him making them pay for it big time. He said it takes over 3 million horses to get a payload into space, and the US military doesn't have anything comparable to that right now. Moments later, President Trump tweeted, "Won't be paying this accented communist anything. We'll have all the horses we need." The following week, horses began to arrive. And now, Siri with sports.
After a tense but ultimately pointless first 2 weeks of football with no fans in the stands, but still traveling from stadium to stadium, for some inexplicable reason, the NFL and the NFL Players Association made a decision today. They will be playing the rest of the season in bubbles, but not as the NBA and NHL are. Instead of putting a bubble around the entire league where they all quarantine together and play in centralized locations, they will continue to travel from place to place and will even be allowing fans in the stands. But to keep them safe and able to perform week to week, they will be putting bubbles around each player. We have some footage of some recent practices. There are details to be worked out such as throwing, catching, scoring, but at least each player will be safe. The fans' safety, on the other hand, according to the NFL owners, is not their responsibility. Novak Djokovic was disqualified in the first set of his most recent US Open match after hitting a ball in frustration and that ball striking a line judge in the throat. The woman was taken to a hospital for tests, which is wise considering Djokovic's serve has been known to exceed 120 miles per hour. Djokovic was very contrite and accepted his disqualification with the grace of a 4-year-old in a cereal aisle. But now he has announced he was inspired by this incident to create a new tennis-adjacent sport. The new game combines elements of tennis, dodgeball, and a carnival shooting gallery. A player stands in the center of a circle surrounded by lines umpires. The goal is to knock down as many of the judges as possible within the time limit. Since it all started with an accidental joking, Djokovic, at first, thought about naming the sport with a bastardization of his own name called Chokovic, but in the end he went with "fuck da ump," which he says is a Serbian term meaning love of officials. As we begin the new football season, such as it is, the former Washington Redskins are revealing some aspects of how they landed upon their new name, which has fans crying out that it's so uncontroversial that it's offensive. It was a lengthy process with executives poring over hundreds of names. When the dust had settled, they had 5 potential names: the Washington Dykes, the Washington Flamers, the Washington Rednecks, the Washington Pussies, and the Washington Spades. After about 4 hours of sensitivity training, the executives still didn't understand why these were all bad ideas, but the marketing team was able to convince them to avoid those choices. Left with no good ideas and ignoring fan submissions including Washington Monuments, Washington Freedom, Washington Pigskins, and hundreds of others, the team decided the incredibly generic Washington Football Team was their best choice. Last month, former heavyweight champion of the world Iron Mike Tyson decided he was going to fight a shark as part of the Discovery Channel's Shark Week programming. So how did this idea come about? It turns out that when the great white shark in question was in school, it was asked if it would take a punch from Mike Tyson for $1 million. The shark said yes. Coincidentally, when Mike Tyson was in school, he similarly claimed that he'd swim with a great white shark for $1 million. Discovery Channel discovered this and provided the $2 million. They feel it a most worthwhile investment. Tyson went into the fight as the underdog but was unfazed. Pre-fight, Tyson was asked what his strategy was. He joked that should he get into trouble, he could always just bite its ear off. He was unpleased when he was told moments later sharks don't have external ears. Tyson dominated the encounter from the beginning, with the shark showing little interest in mixing it up with the former champ. A slight bit of offense in round 2 had the Tyson camp concerned and preparing tourniquets, but Tyson was ultimately able to secure a KO in 3 rounds. The Science Channel, not to be outdone, has hired top Tyson rival Evander Holyfield and made the announcement that he will be fighting a 1,370-pound alligator as part of their Croctoberfest celebration. And sports agents are reporting that the Learning Channel is seeking an MMA fighter to take on a swarm of bees for their December to Remember programming. We'll have to watch for all those. That's it for sports. I'm Siri. Back to you, Peter Paul.
Thank you, Siri. You know, Washington should have chosen the Washington newscasters, right? Italian musician DJ Regatoni is one of the newest voices in the reggaeton scene. But local nightclub The Paradise Pit got a bit more than they bargained for when they attempted to book Regatoni this past weekend. Regatoni is managed by the Barilla Brothers, a duo who just so happened to share a name with the international pasta brand. When the Paradise Pit called Barilla and offered $5,000 for Regatoni for Friday night, Barilla the pasta company thought they knew what was desired. So they sent $5,000 worth of rigatoni pasta to the nightclub, which did arrive on time for the 9 p.m. show. Reportedly, the rigatoni performed a 3-hour set for a crowd of enthusiastic ravers who said the show was chill AF. The club owners intended to donate the pasta to a local food bank, but after the reactions, they have decided to give the rigatoni a spot on the weekly DJ rotation. They also plan to reschedule with DJ Regatoni sometime in the future. And finally tonight, as we continue through September, stores are in full swing for Halloween, placing decorations, pulling out candy and other popular items from storage, and in keeping with that, the state of California has made the unconventional choice to change their entire sky orange. The festive coloring complements the dark outlines of the city's skyline to create the perfect spooky tableau. City officials claim the color has nothing to do with the thousands of acres of wildfires, but is instead just the sky wearing a costume for the holiday. In a related story, Reese's Candies is seeking an injunction against the California sky for trademark infringement. It seems the particular color of the sky is a proprietary blend owned by the candy company and is restricted for use for their Reese's Peanut Butter Cup and Reese's Pieces packaging. A representative from Reese's said, if the sky wants to be that color, fine, then it should pay the licensing fee. We reached out to the sky for comment, but did not receive a response prior to this broadcast. Thank you for joining us on Every Day's the Weekend News. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit the bell if you'd like to get notifications for new content. I'm Peter Paul Kidd with Siri and Ted DeBear. And that's the way it wasn't. But he was not mistaken that the document didn't know, can't claim E's White House began purchasing.
Caution, take like stripes on the poop.
Thank you, Siri. And I knew Tyson was going to win all the way. He is one mean mother. Thank you, Siri. Can't wait to play that Djokovic game. Looks like a lot of fun. And I've got a lot of officials that I would like to show that kind of love to. Thank you, Siri. You know who Washington should have chose as their mascot? Should have been the Washington Newscasters. Because we're tough. Condemning doctors as liars and the plague as a hoax. That sounds familiar, don't it? However, we have made significant strides in 800 years. We no longer think the world is flat, or think that drinking poisonous liquids will cure our diseases. Damn it, we do. Accidentally, as such, explanations of number A with error the two responded officials Tennessee. Chair A of was that photo license. Drivers A receiving for news the in recently was woman Tennessee A. When asked why they had the horse majored, commas. Punctuation's important. For rigatoni, to a Fox's news. That's a hot woman who's got news. It's a Fox's news. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Every Day's the Weekend News. I'm Peter Paul Kidd with Siri on sports and somebody else. Come on.